Are you ready?
Kicks it low and no good.
You think that you're better?
Spent 5 days in Idaho. This is picked off. This is picked up by Marshall, and the Thundering Herd are going to have a pick six.
Well, you better get ready.
There's the fry bath. 41-27, the final.
Break it down!
Welcome to the College Football X on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and happy holidays. Welcome to the Christmas/New Year's version of the College Football X. Featuring us, the online sports guys, as we talk about college football here during the holiday season, which means, of course, guys, we got to talk about bowl games. We're going to start with that. We've got that coming up in the show. We'll preview the college football playoff semifinals here a little bit later. And we've also got some interesting news and notes to talk about as we kind of hit the recruiting season and the portaling season all at the same time. But we'll start with bowl games, guys. We went through the list last weekend, and we might as well start at the bottom here.
Marty, have you thought out yet?
Marty, why don't you tell them about your attempt at going to the Armed Forces Bowl?
Yeah, once we had 12 degrees, I decided not to try to kill my nephew and freeze him out. I'm not quite sure what the wind chill was, but woke up that morning and we started getting emails from the Armed Forces Bowl. Skydive canceled, tailgating canceled. And I was just like, okay, if they're canceling everything, then this isn't going to be worth the trip.
Harumph.
It was a good game, though. We did watch it.
Smart move.
Yeah, I'm sure it looked a whole lot better and more warmer on the television.
And I did pick that game correctly, by the way.
Yeah, you did. They don't list what the attendance was for the game, though. They say the capacity for the football game stadium was 48,000. I suspect it was a lot less than that, as it was
Maybe 48.
428.
Yeah, move the decimal point over a couple of spaces. Yeah, I love how here's the AP headline. Air Force beats Baylor 30-15 in Chile Armed Forces Bowl.
Oh, they understate.
Yeah, that actually sounds like it could be a sponsor.
It might be
The
next
Chili
year.
Armed Forces Bowl. I love it.
Chile.
The Hormel Chili Armed Forces
see.
Bowl.
That's
You get
awesome.
some crappy unseasoned food.
But if
that's Chili's, my bad.
Would it not have to be Chili's as in the restaurant?
That too could work.
Could work. Yeah, it could work. All right, I'm down with that. I'm just in it. I'm in it for the food.
Just a random thought there. I mean, not that it's great food, but they do have the large amount of stores, so they could subsidize at least one bowl game.
Broccoli and chicken
Air
pie,
Force-
chicken Applebee's.
Air Force did get the win in that game, 30-15. Good game for Brad Roberts. 37 carries, 116 yards, and a couple of touchdowns.
Moved him up to third on their all-time rushing list.
Yeah, I mean, Hazik Daniels at quarterback. He only threw the ball 7 times the entire game.
Why? If you're going against type, if you're doing that, that's what Air Force does. They are academy, therefore they run the ball and try to stop them.
You could only, if you watch that game, you could only throw in one direction. Like when they were kicking, you could just totally see the ball would go up and it would just pretty much stop. It was crazy.
No, Daniels
They completely lulled them to sleep with those passes, though. Like there's no way they're throwing. And then
That's great.
The Baylor quarterback Hal Presley did throw for a couple of touchdowns, so he must have gotten. Neither of them were particularly long, so it could have been. Something must have stopped them.
A wind-aided touchdown, Pat.
Yeah, a couple of them. And then Daniels throwing a 15-yard to Caleb Reelos late in the third quarter, making the game 23-7, and obstacle that Baylor could not overcome. Nice win for Air Force. They finished the season 10-3, but they're pretty good most years. Other bowl games this past week. Marshall gets the win over UConn. No, the Fighting Jim Morris did not finish with a winning record. They were 6-7 on the year. Marshall wins 28-14.
So UConn's keeping tradition alive.
True. And to get this, their quarterback on the day was 9 of 27 for 166 yards and 3 picks. 9 of 27.
You know,
it was a tough day on the teal turf.
You know you were having a bad day when a defensive lineman, Damian Barber, gets the interception, 34-yard touchdown for Marshall. That helped them get the nice win. In the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, a game known for its French fry bath, Eastern Michigan gets the win 41-27 over San Jose State. Not really much to say about this game. I would not want to have been out there in Boise.
I wasn't interested.
Not during this kind of weather this week.
Chris Creighton did get the French fry bath. So Chris Creighton did get the French fry bath for winning in the Potato Bowl. Eastern Michigan finishing 9-4. Well done.
That is a waste of perfectly good French fries.
You know, somebody was picking a couple of them up.
Well, you know, if they combine that with the Duke's Mayo Bowl, they could have one hell of an entree there.
Ooh,
good luck.
Poutine Bowl.
I would have brought my daughter's travel ketchup and made a little pile and just feasted.
There you go.
Put some gravy on there, some poutine.
See, now that's a strong play. Yeah, if you literally mixed, if you got the winner of the Dukes to play the winner of the famous Idaho Potato Bowl and played it like at Skydome or something and had it for poutine and had Swiss Chalet sponsor it, I mean that's a plus. That's a +1 for you.
Yeah, definitely hashtag winning. And then the other game on that Tuesday, the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. Toledo gets the win over Liberty, 21-19.
Boy, did Liberty collapse.
Oh, they did.
Toward the end of the year.
Yeah.
There's a roof claim in there somewhere.
I mean, in the first half of this game was played in an absolute downpour, and so not a surprise it was 7-3 at the half. But then,
downpour in Boca Raton?
Who knows? Who knew? Who knew?
Yeah,
something?
that never happens.
Oh. And then the rain cleared out for the third and fourth quarter, and that was exactly when your offense happened. 30 points total in the third and fourth quarter by both teams. But yeah,
or they had gotten over their hangover. Take your pick.
Yeah, they got a chance to dry out a little bit, and both in manner, way, shape, and form. But yeah, Liberty finishing 8-5. So after the win against Arkansas, Liberty just went.
And Hugh Freeze with Auburn.
Other college football action during the week: Western Kentucky with a huge win over South Alabama, 44-23. South Alabama had no answer for that high-paced, fast.
They had no answer for Austin Reed, and this guy just put himself in the crosshairs of the draft. I mean, this guy, Austin Reed, has probably helped himself big time playing in the bowl game. A senior playing in the bowl game that has a chance to make it in the league. And Western Kentucky quarterbacks have done well. Look at Mike White with the Jets.
The offensive system set up for success.
Yeah.
So he'll go to the combine very confident. And there's going to be a few teams that are going to take a chance on this guy. And, I tip my hat to you, Austin Reed, for playing in the bowl game and having the type of game you had and helping yourself for the next level.
36 of 55, 497 and 4. We had all kind of predicted that this was the kind of game that he was going to have. And sure as you know what, he had that kind of a game. And yeah, I think that Austin Reed definitely has moved himself into the discussions about going into combines, and I'm looking forward to seeing his next steps.
Speaking of quarterbacks, the game's on Friday featuring a couple of good quarterbacks. Clayton Tune for Houston. He led the Cougars to a 23-16 win over Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns losing in Shreveport. And Sam Hartman threw for 3 touchdowns as Wake beats Missouri 27-17 in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl.
First of all, I think Cajun and Cougar fans took Marty's advice and did not show up for the game in Shreveport in single digits as far as a wind chill there. But the highlight of that game, a couple of highlights for that game to me, was they had to turn the portable heaters off because they were catching the turf on fire.
Wow.
And I don't know if you saw a shot, but yes, there was somebody moved over one of the portable heaters and it was black and the turf was gone. And so apparently, which the stadium is owned by the city of Shreveport, they didn't appreciate the new turf that they laid down over the summer, caught on fire because of the portable heaters. And then this game was just a tale of two halves. I mean, the Cajuns dominated the first half. And a lot of it was because Houston was just trying to establish the run the whole time. And finally, toward the end of the first half, Dana Hogerson said, screw it. We're going to do what we do. And that turned out to be the best strategies. Houston had really dominated offensively the second half and got the win with a late touchdown.
And there were very brave folks who were those 5 or 6 guys who did tailgate before the game, and I think that they were Louisiana fans who did come in limited clothing, and I pray for their families and their parents in this situation because I wonder if they're still trying to thaw out as we're recording the show.
I saw a couple of guys just wearing those camo waders, nothing else.
I saw overalls, I saw shirtless in the cutaways, and I give the fans that showed up at Independence Stadium in Shreveport a lot of credit. Very brave souls, but I imagine that they were very warm from the inside out as opposed to the current conditions.
Guys, why don't we go ahead and look ahead at the games coming up this upcoming week as we record this show on Christmas Eve. Full slate of games. We might have to do this in 2 segments because there's a lot of bowl games this coming week.
Bring it. Let's go.
A plethora of bowl games.
We start with the Quick Lane Bowl, New Mexico State in Bowling Green. Both teams 6-6. The game played at Ford Field in Detroit. And you can get in for, might be worth a trip to Detroit. You can get in for $3, guys.
$3.
$3.
And it's indoors.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Bowling Green's at 3.5, and your total's 48.5.
I'm going to go with New Mexico State. Bowling Green cannot stop me. That defense is pretty porous. So, and I have great affection for Jerry Kill. And you want to know what kind of coach he is? Look what he's doing at New Mexico State. He's got them in a bowl game.
Yeah, and they win this game. They end up 7-6, which is impressive.
So go with the Aggies.
Aggies.
I'll have to agree that the Quick Lane is sponsoring Bowling Green's defense.
We move on to games on Tuesday, the 27th. The early game, the Crampton Bowl, at the Crampton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. It's the Camellia Bowl game featuring Georgia Southern and Buffalo. And I already can tell you who I'm going to pick because I'm obligated to, but I really think that my Georgia Southern Eagles should win this game. Whether they do or not, I guess, is a different issue. Guys, what are your thoughts?
Southern 3.5 and the total 67.5. I'm going Southern.
I like Georgia Southern. These are 2 teams that have just struggled in November. Injuries and bad luck. And I don't know. I have to go with Georgia Southern in this one, but I think it's going to be a sloppy game.
I agree, sloppy, but I'm taking Georgia Southern too.
Yeah, expect to see a lot of points in that game. A little bit later in the day, moving back to Marty's area of Dallas, the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl featuring Memphis and Utah State. Both teams 6-6 coming into the game.
Get in the door for $10. Memphis is 7.5-point favorite. Total 60.5. I'll go Memphis wins. Utah State covers.
That makes sense.
I'm going to go with the Aggies in this one. They're sneaky good. So we'll call it a hunch.
I'm taking Utah, and I'll be at that one, unless it goes down to 5 degrees again.
The expected high in that game, the weather is expected to be 46 degrees that day.
Balmy.
A little later in the evening, we have the Battle of Directional Carolina Schools being played in Birmingham, the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl featuring Coastal Carolina and East Carolina.
Why can't these two teams play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? It makes more sense than making them go to Birmingham.
Yeah.
East Carolina 7.5. Your total 63.5. I'll go Coastal in this one, winning outright.
Now, I got to go with East Carolina because Coastal is in a transition phase right now, and that's just not good when you're going to a bowl game. So I'm going to go with East Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, East Carolina had a pretty good year. Guys put up some big numbers, and Coastal, I don't think Grayson McCall is going to be playing due to entering the transfer portal.
Right.
So,
which is another reason why I like ECU.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Coastal. I'm going to go with the guys that have the same haircut I had in 1989 in high school. Go Mullets.
And the final game that day, late night, out in Arizona, in Phoenix, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl featuring Oklahoma State and Wisconsin, two teams that really kind of underachieved this season.
Underachieved,
dude. You're insulting underachievers.
Oh no, I understate quite a bit.
I think it's as low as 19 to get in the door. Wisconsin's at 3.5, and your total's at 43. I think the only winner here is a Guaranteed Rate and the 4-letter for actually having the game on the air.
Yeah. I got to go with Wisconsin in this game because there's going to be guys that are going to be trying to show their stuff for Luke Fickell. So I think perhaps that's the reason why Wisconsin might be a little more motivated, and plus being able to go to Arizona in December when it's 5 or 55 below in Madison. So let's give it to the Badgers.
I say there are no winners except for the sponsor and the network.
Yeah. I like the Big Ten. The only question is, am I going to fall asleep during the first quarter or just before halftime?
Yes.
Yeah, that.
The Guaranteed Nap Bowl.
Yes.
It's a good way to put it. A little bit better slate of games on Wednesday. Headlined at the beginning, the military. I thought we had a military bowl. The military bowl presented by Peraton.
You had the Armed Forces Bowl. This is the Military Bowl.
Yes, played in Annapolis at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. UCF and Duke. This is actually an intriguing matchup.
I like it better in basketball, but.
Well, remember they played in the Elite Eight, and it turned out to be a classic game. And you had Johnny Dawkins going up against Mike Krzyzewski. So Duke's really played much better under Mike Elko than I expected. And I got to go with the Blue Devils in this one.
Guys?
God.
Thinking
I know
about
nothing about either team, to be honest. I'm just going to take UCF for that one.
There you go. Peraton is fearlessly solving the toughest national security challenges. And on their website, it said their tagline is "Together we do the can't be done."
Okay.
I'm thinking that there's something grammatically incorrect there, but maybe if they put the "can't be done" in quotes, it would be a proper emphasis. But maybe all the players for UCF and Duke get national security clearances for their swag bag. I don't know. I'm going to go with Duke in this one.
TSA pre-check.
And take the over. Yes, exactly. Everybody gets TSA pre-check. Get in price at 32. Duke's at 3.5 and 62, and it'll be 38 in Annapolis. So I'll go with Duke.
The next game later in the afternoon, one that has, I think, could be potentially the best bowl game of the week. Kansas and Arkansas playing at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis.
Now, why do you say it's
Sweet.
going to be the best one of the week?
I like this matchup. I think these are two teams that could potentially put on a good game. Both have some motivation to succeed here.
Yeah. Kansas is going to walk over Arkansas. Arkansas's lost half its defense for the getting ready for the draft or portaling. The big target for our receiver for Arkansas is not playing in this game either. And then Barry Odom has moved on to UNLV as the head coach. There's just too many things that have upset things for Arkansas for me to be confident that they're going to win the Liberty Bowl. Hopefully the backups will play well, but without Bumper Pool and some of the defensive starters, and I just don't see it.
Arkansas is a 3 and your total's at 69. I like the over here, and the get-in price is $61. I'll go Kansas. Marty, what do you think?
Well, Arkansas's got players portaling, coaches turtling. Kansas.
I like the contrast in the get-in price too. $62 for this game, and we started off with the Quick Lane Bowl where you get in for $3.
Jesus. So to watch nobody that's going to go in the draft because everybody's sitting out, it's
$60.
It's how much?
61 get in.
And then the Cotton Bowl's got the Heisman winner is like $8.
Yeah.
And it's indoors, so it doesn't matter what the weather is outside.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Drew Sanders is not playing, who's an all-SEC running linebacker. Bumper Pool, who was the leader of that defense. It's just not going to happen. I mean, you're right, Marty. Portaling and coaches bailing. I mean, it just doesn't add up to a successful bowl game for the Razorbacks.
Bumper Pool, also a good Christmas gift.
Yes. Highly recommend the game.
Somebody.
A primetime matchup on Fox that night. Oregon and North Carolina playing in the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. Another intriguing matchup with two pretty good offenses.
And the Holiday Bowl usually delivers some outstanding games. That's for the past 40 years.
I'm going to go, let's see, get-in price is $55, 60 degrees at kickoff. Oregon's a 14.5-point favorite, and your total 74. I like the total. I like Oregon.
I got a sneaking suspicion that Drew May is going to this is a national TV chance for him. And there's been so many rumors about him accepting $5 million. Pat Narduzzi comes out and says that he's had offers for the transfer for $5 million, which is another rant I need to go on about. But I like North Carolina right now. I'm going to go with the Tar Heels, and I think he's going to have a huge game because this is a chance for him to shine. And to put up a marker for the Heisman Trophy next year,
and to raise the bidding.
There you go.
And to raise the bidding, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. If North Carolina State was the one that was offering even more, you talk about adding a little more juice to the North Carolina NC State rivalry.
Awesome.
Oregon's been throwing some bags around lately.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no doubt.
They got the swoosh money.
Exactly. It is
Indeed, they do. Indeed, they do. North Carolina's got to show me that they can play some defense before I'm going to take them to win a game.
When has defense has ever mattered in a bowl game?
No, depends on which league you play in.
Yeah, my heart wants North Carolina, but Oregon's probably going to win this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Oregon's a little bit better rounded as a team at this point.
And you probably get the Mac Brown factor too. I forget about that.
You get the Mac Brown factor in a bowl game. What are you talking about there, Wilkie?
But yes, we would like to see Drake May on a national platform showing that he can play because everybody says he's the next Heisman Trophy winner next year if he sticks around at North Carolina or wherever he might land.
Whoever the highest bidder is, yes.
It'll be an interesting case because apparently
Colorado.
Hey, apparently his family has a long connection to North Carolina.
Oh yeah. Plus his
So
brother, Luke May, was on a national championship team.
yeah, and his little brother's in school. I think he plays lacrosse or something like that. But anyway,
Non-revenue sport. He needs the $5 million.
moving on to the final game of the night that night, Ole Miss and Texas Tech playing at the Tax Act Texas Bowl in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
The Tax Act
Yes.
Texas Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tax Act Texas Bowl. Everybody gets their 1040. All the players get their 1040s looked at because of NIL. Get in price.
I couldn't swear to it, but I
$55.
I think it's tax software.
Yeah, it is. Ticket get in is $55. Ole Miss is 3.5. Your total 69.5. I got to go with Ole Miss here. I really do.
Well, again, a bowl game that'll have no defense.
Mm-hmm.
So name your score on this one. Somebody first 1 to 60 wins in this one. I'm going to go with Ole Miss as well. But I think Texas Tech's going to put on a show.
Quinshawn
Judge. The Red Raiders had a good season this year. But yeah, I think Ole Miss is a little bit too much for them at this point in time. Texas Tech did play quite a few teams tough, but this is SEC level here.
Yeah, Texas Tech will put up points, but they're not going to win.
Correct.
We'll go through one more day's worth of game before we take the break here, and then in the second half of the show, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the stuff coming up.
Bowl games.
So many bowl games, so little time. The Thursday slate of games on December 29th, Syracuse and Minnesota at the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium.
Get in price $38. Minnesota's a double-digit favorite, and your total's 42. So I guess they're trying to assume that Syracuse is not going to score points, so that Minnesota's going to be doing the bulk of it. I got to go with Minnesota, but I don't know if they cover that double digits, and the under is probably where I'm heading for 40-degree weather.
It's going to be single digits in the Bronx for this game. What I want to see is, Syracuse always calls itself New York.
The projected weather, the weather forecast, according to AccuWeather, says 42 degrees.
Oh, Wilkie was talking offenses, I thought, with single digits.
Well, what I was going to say is, Syracuse always calls itself New York's college team. Well, here they are playing in the Bronx. I want to see if those guys, the Orange fans show up to a bowl game in their backyard. Because as you guys have seen, the bowl attendance has just been abysmal. But I got to go with the Gophers here. A dome team playing outside in December never works out well.
Nope. Marty?
God, as much as I hate to take Minnesota. I'd love to see them get smacked with the oar, but it's not going to happen.
No. Oh.
Your mid-afternoon game at Camping World Stadium, the Cheez-It Bowl featuring Florida State and Oklahoma.
We know if the winning coach in this one is going to get a Cheez-It bath.
Ew. Doesn't quite have the same effect. I would think they would all break.
Just saying. I mean, I'm just,
I want to see what the trophy looks like. Is it a box of Cheetos just glued onto a little mantle or something? I mean,
is it one of those big circles of cheese that is constantly complaining in the commercials?
Who knows?
I can see that getting tossed around.
This was a great matchup in 1984. I'm not sure what it is now. You got an up and coming FSU program. I know how much John hates to hear that, but really like what Mike Norvell's doing there. Not sure where Oklahoma is going under Brent Venables. We talked about, they've been mediocre at best this year. So I really like Florida State in this game because I think that offensive line impresses me. They've got skill players and the defense has played well too. So I like Florida State in a blowout. And this game should be down in Miami in the Orange Bowl. It just has that feel to it, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah, for price $72. Temperature at kickoff 76. Florida State's a 9. Your total 66. Wilkie, I'm being mutually exclusive here. I like what my program is doing, but I don't like what my coach is. So that's how I'm looking at this. It's like, okay, great, we're 9-3. I say this is the alum on the show, but it's like I can separate a dislike for my coach and the like for my program.
All right.
So that's I'm being mutually exclusive here. Yeah, Florida State in a blowout, Marty.
Yeah, it's not even gonna be close. Oh, you didn't have. When was the last time they played defense?
A couple of coaches.
1978.
Yeah.
Back when both these teams were good.
Yes.
I think the last time Oklahoma played defense, they had Brian Bosworth.
Yeah, I was thinking about that pre-movie career, Bosworth.
In the last game before we get to the actual holiday weekend games, Texas and Washington squaring off at the Valero Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. Guys, is Texas back?
Of course.
No, because Bijan Robinson isn't playing in the game. And again, another game that
I just like asking if Texas is back because that's what everybody asks.
And again, this game feels like 1984 as well. But again, you got a Texas Pro. I don't know it. Well, Texas is just treading water until Arch Manning gets there, right? Next year. And when he takes over as the Texas quarterback. So I guess Longhorn fans are feeling pretty good about that aspect and going in the SEC. Washington, I really like what they're doing in Husky land. I wouldn't say the Huskies are back, but they're relevant and can make some noise in the Pac-12 -2, minus other schools. I'm sure we'll see how that plays
Going
out.
back to the Pac-8.
Yes.
Yeah, back to the Pac-8, exactly. I gotta go with the Horns in this one. I just think they've got, and just call it a gut, but I just think they've got a little better line play than the Huskies. It's more emphasized with the Longhorns, so I'm gonna go with the Horns.
Get-in price is $63. Texas is a 3.5. Your total 67.5. Michael Penix has completed 66% of his passes on the nose, over 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns. I'm going to go with Washington outright, Marty.
I'm taking Washington. No Bijan, no win. That kid.
I gotta go.
That kid's the best running back, hands down.
I got to go with Washington here too, but I think that Quinn Ewers is not going to give up the quarterbacking job at Texas to Arch Manning by default. So they're going to have a little battle there, but that's something to talk about when we get into the 2023 season, not right now. And speaking of transitions, we're going to go to a break here so we can kind of catch our breath, and we'll go through the last slate of bowl games, plus the college football playoff games, and a few news and notes on recruiting and other things here as we return for the second half of the X in just about a minute. You are listening to the College Football X on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Hey, what's up? This is Darius Rucker. There are thousands of homeless veterans on the streets of our nation tonight. They're waiting for housing they are already approved for, but need the rental deposit to get into their home. Join VeteransMatter.org and help house 1,000 veterans as quickly as possible. Text VETS to 41444 and pledge any amount. Text VETS to 41444. They fought for us, now we fight for them. Veterans Matter.
Warning. Orthopedic surgeons are seeing an increase in overuse injuries when young athletes perform the same repetitive stressful motions over and over. Pitching, tennis, weight training, even long swimming workouts can cause overuse trauma that may require surgery. If your kids play and train hard, visit orthoinfo.org or stopsportsinjuries.org. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons and the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine.
A new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
Thanks for sticking around through the monotony of all the bowl games. You are listening to the second half of the College Football X, and we are the online sports guys talking college football, particularly bowl season, as there are so many bowl games in so little time. We continue in the holiday week of bowl games by getting to the games on December 30th. We start with an ACC matchup. the Duke's Mayo Bowl is featuring 2 ACC teams. How is that possible? Maryland and North Carolina State.
Maryland's in the Big 12-10, 14.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going to
that's
say,
right.
don't you remember Maryland went to the Big 10 10 years ago?
Did anybody?
But it does
even-
feel like a conference game. Yes, I totally get your thinking there.
Can't take it anywhere. He talks about conference galactic realignment, and he can't even remember how it's galactically realigned.
Can you?
Get-in price is 65. This is a toss-up with Maryland at 7-5 and 23rd ranked NC State at 8-4, and your total's 47, which is the degrees at kickoff, according to our friends at AccuWeather.
I got no feel for this one. But I'm going to go with the Wolfpack.
NC State without Devin Leary. Maryland still has the younger Tagovailoa. I might actually take the Terrapins in this one.
I can't do that. Can't do it. You got to go with NC State. Marty?
I like Maryland.
Okay. We're split. Wow. Okay.
Go figure.
We move on to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in the West Texas town of El Paso.
That is not great.
No.
Wow.
Get it?
I've been saving that one.
Get in price at $10. UCLA's a 4. Your total's at 54, and kickoff is about the same temperature-wise as the total is. Pitt's at 8-4. Chip Kelly's 18th ranked at 9-3. And all of the players got Frosted Flakes as their swag.
Both teams neither team was terrible this year, but neither team really stood out above the crowd either. I mean, how do you pick this?
It's a hard one to pick. Pitt's going to be blue collar. UCLA is going to be not blue collar. But I like the Bruins in this one. I just think they have too many weapons.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Marty.
UCLA. Pitt sucks.
Yep.
Might be the area of the country I grew up in.
I was going to say, how
Might
do
be
you
Mark
really
May being
feel
an
about
alumni
that?
there, but I hate it.
And they hate you.
And Marty doesn't care.
They haven't had a good player since Tony Dorsett.
You don't count Hugh Green a good player?
Oh, well, I do. Yeah, but that's defense.
Or
Dan Marino?
When did he graduate?
30 years ago. Thanks for the. I've got football cards I got football cards as old as him.
Moving on
Yes.
to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl featuring Notre Dame and South Carolina.
More tax software for you. Get in price is $66. Notre Dame's at 2. Your total's 51.5. This one should be sneaky good. I like this one. Notre Dame's at 8-4, ranked 21. Same for South Carolina, ranked at 19. I got to go with Shane Beamer. They're on a roll.
Oh, it depends on when Spencer Rattler shows up. But I got to go with the Gamecocks too. I like what Shane's doing there.
Marty?
Notre Dame always craps themselves in big games, so go Gamecocks.
I don't know how big of a game this is, but I really like what South Carolina's done. They finished strong this season with wins. That win over Clemson was really well done. Shane Beamer has things going in the right direction there in Columbia. Go with Gamecocks.
Yep.
The Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl a little bit later in the day. Ohio and Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest if you're going to watch this bowl game to go to it in Tucson because this game's being streamed only.
Yeah. Ohio's a 1. Your get-in price is $10. Your total's 43. And its kickoff temperature is 59 degrees. Looks like it's going to be kind of rainy there in Tucson. Go to the game itself. I'm going to go with Ohio just because.
Just because you can?
Just because I can, yeah.
All right, I'm going with Wyoming. I like Craig Bowl.
Okay, I understand that one.
I'm an Ohio native. I'm going to take Ohio.
Warsaw.
What streaming service is this going to be on?
Barstool.
On their
Barstool's website.
Oh, that website's going to
That's
crap
it.
out.
Yeah, it is. It's going to.
I don't know about that because if realistically, if we didn't mention this game, would anybody actually know it exists?
No.
If a bowl game crapped in the woods, would anybody know? Is that what
That's my point.
It'll still stink regardless.
Your final game on that Friday, the day before New Year's Eve, Clemson and Tennessee squaring off in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Another intriguing matchup.
Two orange teams.
Yes. Get in price of $48 in the Orange Bowl. Clemson's a 5.5. Your total 63.5. 6 versus 7. I got to go. Wow. I'm going to go with the total. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to do that.
Anybody else see the irony here? Tennessee and Clemson playing in the Orange Bowl.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, the jokes. Sometimes the jokes write themselves.
Just wondering. Tennessee on its way to a national championship until the season gets derailed with Hendon Hooker's injury. Clemson, most people thought they would be a national championship contender with DJ Uiagalelei, and he turned out to be not the answer quarterback, and Cape Kublik is going to go in.
State's new quarterback.
What's that?
He turned out to be Oregon State's new quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to be an entertaining game. It's just, not the bowl game they expected to be playing in. But I'll watch it, and I'm going to go with the Tigers.
Yeah, I'm just taking the total, Marty.
I'm taking Tennessee. I want to see Dabo running out of there with the L from the Clemson flags. That's my favorite meme. Go Vols.
I'm curious about this game. I'm with Marty here. I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I'm curious to see what Joe Milton does. He may not be the best quarterback in college football, but damn, the guy can throw the ball 100 yards. So why not? I don't know if you've seen it. There's a video that's out on YouTube or one of the social media services showing Milton throwing an orange 100 yards from end zone to end zone.
Impressive.
Doesn't mean you can actually hit a receiver who's running, but it just means you can throw it really far.
Yeah, good on you. So can Dieter Brock.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Then we move on to New Year's Eve. A big day in college football world. Starting off with some college football pick six teams. Your early games, Alabama and Kansas State playing in the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans.
Get in price at $26. Alabama's a 6.5 point favorite. Your total's 56. Wow.
This game's intriguing to me because I just want to know how interested Alabama is going to be. I mean,
Utah, when they showed up and they played in the Sugar Bowl.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you're playing for Nick Saban. He's going to motivate the hell out of you. But when you start getting hit around out there, is the Sugar Bowl really all that great for you to play in? Kansas State, this is going to be their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I expect the same performance that we saw in the Big 12 championship game. And I like, who's the little running back they have? Deuce Vaughn. I love that kid. And I'm looking forward to seeing his ability against that Alabama defense. I like the Wildcats in this game. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be like the Big 12 championship game, but I just think the K-State's going to win this game, and they're going to bring about 30,000 down from Little Apple.
John, you just talked me into it. You just talked me into it. I'm taking Kansas.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that this is a redo of Alabama and Utah, so I'm going to go Kansas State.
Yeah, for the Alabama fans, anything less than the college football playoff is pretty much a letdown, and it makes you wonder. I mean, Bryce Young, to my knowledge, is playing in the game for Alabama. So,
like I say, they're going to have their horses there, but are they going to be interested? I mean, after a couple of possessions, and they're going to realize that the K-State defense is a little better than they expected. You can watch all the film all day and watch their technique, but when push comes to shove, that's a pretty fundamentally sound defense. And when does the apathy start setting in with Alabama? And how many Nick fits will Saban have on the sidelines in New Orleans when that happens?
The whole reason I'm watching.
Yes. Go plus three.
Or is Saban going to use that as an opportunity to get some of his younger guys who might be in bigger roles next season a chance to get some playing time in a primetime game?
I'm looking forward to the Saban nutties. I'm going to go plus 3.5 on the on-camera nutties is my total.
The other noon kickoff game that Saturday, Iowa and Kentucky playing in the Music City Bowl in Nash Vegas.
This is just an ugly game.
Yeah.
Taking the under.
Here we go. Yeah.
I don't even know what it is, but I'll take the under.
31 is your total. Iowa is a 2.5-point favorite. Your get-in price is $18, and the temperature is supposed to be 60 at kickoff. Wow. I'm going to take the total. I think that they'll clear it because of all the talk, but it's going to be like 20-7, 20-14. The most unexciting over that you'll ever see, but that is the lowest total I've ever seen in a bowl game.
I think this game is going to be nothing but field goals. It's going to be
and safeties.
Yeah, that too. It's going to be the most boring game in the history of college bowl games.
Your best prop bet's going to be how does Iowa get to 14? It's going to be unconventional.
Field goals in the state.
7 safeties.
Oh, fantastic. On to 4 o'clock.
We move on from that to the games which might be slightly more exciting and more interesting and might have more attention by the general public. Your college football playoff semifinals at 4 o'clock. The Verbo Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona, featuring TCU and Michigan. Who do you like, guys, and why?
Michigan's a 7.5. Your total 58.5. Your get-in price is $230. I'm going to go TCU in this one. I think that I don't know how healthy the Michigan run game is going to be. I think that TCU can dictate a little bit. I think that if you force faith against Michigan, that TCU takes it. I think TCU gets it.
I've been going back and forth in this game. It just depends on what kind of pass rush Michigan can get on Max Duggan, because the kid is big and tough. He reminds me so much of Josh Allen. But if they can get a consistent pass rush on him, then I think that's going to derail a lot of what TCU wants to do offensively. So if that happens, I really like Michigan. But I'm kind of like you, John. There's a gut feeling I have about TCU. There's always these teams that you know that are Destiny's darlings, and TCU seems to be that. Even though they lost the Big 12 title game, the way they played in that game and almost pulling it out, and then still getting the shot to play for a national championship. To me, they kind of define a Destiny's darling, and I want a reason why to pick TCU because I'd like to see them win, but I got to go with Michigan.
Marty.
Oof. Michigan messes around, lets TCU hang around. I see TCU pulling it out at the end. They just seem to be able to. They just seem to hang in there, and if they end up chucking a bomb at the end of the game to win it.
Mm-hmm. I like Michigan in this game. I think they've got more horses. They're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger than what TCU's been going up against most of the season. I think they're going to be a little bit too much for them. Donovan Edwards has run for 400 yards in the last couple games, and he wasn't even the starting running back for them early in the season. J.J. McCarthy has really come into his own as a passer, throwing for, 6 touchdowns in the last couple games. I like what Michigan has. I think they're just a better top to bottom team than TCU, and I'm going to take Michigan in this one, but I think it's going to be a fairly close game. Look for it to be something along the lines of 37-23 or something like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, here's a quick question. Two of Michigan's quarterbacks have entered the portal, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the backup?
Yeah, who's the backup?
Mm-hmm.
Because if he gets
there's
dinged,
always somebody on the roster.
He's going to hand the ball off.
I don't know if the depth chart's out yet. That's a good question.
Yeah, and you know that Harbaugh's not going to give you the depth chart until the morning. Yeah, until game day. He's not going to. He's going to have a lot of folks practicing, and he's not going to tell you what the depth chart is.
So what you're saying, Marty, is watch for the cheap shots that are on Michigan's quarterback.
correct.
That kind of is the implication there, I think.
I like the way you think, Marty.
Well, I'm just saying, you have two guys jump into the transfer portal. That just kind of Central Casting's writing a story there.
Yep. Then
We'll move on.
And if this comes true, I'm going to be the happiest man. Not that I wish ill on anybody.
8 o'clock.
And the other semifinal game, the 8 o'clock kickoff at Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in the OSG headquarters of Atlanta, or the metro Atlanta area anyway. The Georgia Bulldogs and Ohio State Buckeyes square off in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Marty, I'll let you go first because I know what you're going to pick, and tell me why you're defending your guys other than loyalty.
We go.
Other than loyalty, the one thing that that Ohio State defense covers best on the defensive side is tight ends and running backs. And those are your top receivers for Georgia. I think if Ohio State can get going early, that they could squeak this one.
Okay.
It might be as much a homerism and hope as anything, but the more I looked into the game, that was the one thing that kept standing out to me. And the fact that Georgia gave up so many passing yards, I mean, that's Ohio State's biggest strength, and they're playing indoors. So I think they got a chance here.
Get in price at $291. Georgia's a 6.5 point favorite. Your total 62. I like the total. I'll go over that. I think that I don't think that Georgia gets to the 6.5. I think, Marty, to your point, I think it's going to be a tight game. I think that Georgia squeaks it out, but I think it's less than the 6.5. So Ohio State covers, take the total, and I think Georgia wins it. Wilkie?
I love this matchup. This is appointment television for me. To me, you've got the two best teams in college football going at it in the semifinals. Both programs that pay attention to the interior lines on both sides of the ball, which is where you win the game, and have outstanding skill players and quarterbacks as well. This, to me, is going to be the game of the year. If, of course, these games are usually hyped like this or never become that way, but I just love this matchup. So, Marty, what I need for you to do is send me whatever Ohio State swag you have. If you've got a Woody Hayes black O hat, send it my way, a jersey, because I got Ohio State in this one. And I just love the matchups in this game. But I think Ohio State probably, as you mentioned, their strengths are what are weaknesses for Georgia, and they're going to exploit the hell out of that. And I know Kirby Smart has got a game plan going on defensively, but I just think Ohio State is much better skilled in that area than Georgia is. And you're right, if they get up early, up on Georgia, I'm curious to see. This is a mentally tough Georgia team, but I don't think they've played a team as that kind of equals them physically than Ohio State. So I really like the Buckeyes in this game. It's going to be tight. Hopefully it's a classic game in the Georgia Dome. And I think there's going to be equally amount of Ohio State fans as Georgia fans there, because, Marty, Buckeye fans travel, especially to big games like this when you get a matchup like this. So I'm going with the Buckeyes. And I really want to see Ohio State-Michigan championship game, because that rivalry is above all of them. At least that's what the ESPN folks tell us. Yeah. But that'll just put that rivalry on a pedestal that no one can really match right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two teams playing in LA if it works out for the national championship.
Wow.
Now they actually added seats for this game, didn't they?
Yeah,
At Mercedes-Benz, I believe so.
Yeah,
They added standing room only seats.
Yeah, you have standing room on a couple of different levels that's accessible there. So this could set records at MBS for attendance, especially with standing room and such. It's like the way that it is, the lower bowl seats 41, then you have the upper, then you have an upper of like 8 or 10 rows above that is rarely ever used. Those activated, and then you have 1, 2, 3 separate levels where you can have standing room. So the most important guy.
Is it true, John, that upper area, they give everybody an oxygen tank to go up to?
You ain't kidding. You're going to need it. You're going to also make sure that you don't get lactic acidosis getting up to those steps. But I think the most important guy at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or the most important individual, is going to be the fire marshal. I really do.
Yeah. I like Georgia in this game. I think it's a good matchup. Out of all the teams in the Final Four, Ohio State's the one team that has the guys to match up with Georgia in terms of athletes on the outside. But I think the big difference is going to be up the middle, because I know Wilkie talked about Ohio State being a tough, stout line, but Michigan just mauled them in their rivalry game. And I think that's the one difference between the two teams. Georgia's got guys that are just as big and strong as Michigan, and arguably even faster, bigger and stronger. I think that's where the game's going to be won. And I like Georgia in this game. I think it's a 10-point win. You're talking about maybe a 40-30 game or something along those lines. It's going to be high scoring. I don't think there's going to be a ton of defense in this game, but I don't think Ohio State has enough to stop Georgia, and I think Georgia can stop Ohio State.
Okay. Now, and just for the sake of curiosity, I literally now want the Ohio State-Michigan rematch. That's what I want, because, Marty, if the rematch does in fact happen, will you be doing programming?
Get in. Come on. Get inside.
You got drowned out there a second.
Yeah, come on.
If there's a rematch, you're going to be doing stuff remotely from Los Angeles.
There's a healthy chance of that. I gotta check and see how many sick days I have left.
In the house.
I do.
My boss isn't listening to the pod.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be surprised if it happened.
Just checking.
That'd be the last Big Ten game the ESPN would get, right?
I
Or do
believe
they still
so.
have some next year?
Yeah, very nice. My friend believes it.
Yeah, well, they let it happen.
Many,
What are
many things to consider there.
So I'm pulling up tickets for that game right now, and the section 506 is currently at $867.
Wow. Not a surprise. The get-in price for the national championship game. Phil, what else is on your mind before we go?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it earlier in the show, and that's some of the NIL stuff with guys moving between schools in the portal and in recruiting. The signing day winners, as usual, Georgia, Alabama. Texas made a good run. Miami made a good run, but we figured that they probably would start forking over some money once everything got settled, and as bad as they were this past season.
Comes Uncle Nevin.
Yep. Couple of interesting notes. Jaden Daniels will be returning to LSU for 2023. He played pretty good for them as the season progressed. I like that move for Brian Kelly. It gives LSU a fighting chance going into the year. We mentioned it earlier. DJ Ukulele. Sorry. Ukulele.
Ukulele.
Jay.
Heading to Oregon State, making what was already a very good team, possibly even better if he has.
He's going to flourish in that system. He's going to flourish in that system with Jonathan Smith.
And he'll be playing against his brother.
Yes, right. He will. Who was a high prize recruit that went to Oregon.
True.
Civil War is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Makes for some very interesting. Speaking of Oregon, they had a very, very good day on signing day. They lost a quarterback, but they flipped a 5-star quarterback from Baylor to come play for them. Lots and lots of players. I like the fact that Oklahoma, despite having a mediocre season, went out and had a great day on recruiting day. They got the #1 dual threat quarterback in the US of A. Jackson Arnold signed to play it for Brett Venables.
Meanwhile, on the flip side, the Cal Bears had the worst recruiting class. In fact, they got beat out by some group of 5 schools. So you got to wonder what Justin Wilcox is thinking at the University of California, Berkeley. So I found that interesting. That's becoming a tougher place to get players.
And with all the moves that we had in the first week or so of the portal, do you guys find it as fascinating as I do that the portal is about to close, but it opens up again after spring practice?
Oh, yeah. That didn't surprise me at all, because usually by spring practice, you're kind of forecasting what your depth chart's going to be. And that's when every players realize, my playing time ain't going to happen, or I'm going to be benched, especially freshmen and sophomores who are trying to make an impression. They feel, the instant gratification isn't there, and they move on to other schools. So they get recruited again. Again, with all that going on, why would you want to be a college coach? Stay in the high school level, or get in a job in the NFL and move your way up there. It's just too hard now for college programs to find loyalty with their players. They can just move on a whim, and I don't see how you can maintain college programs.
Yeah, imagine having to deal with the fact that you're dealing with a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds who get their feelings hurt pretty darn easily.
Yeah,
that too. Who have handlers around them that just say yes to them all the time.
It was funny during the post signing day press conference. The quarterback Ohio State signed mentioned that Washington actually had better on NIL money, but he wanted to get developed. As that was that was key to his decision. And it's funny, you mentioned about having to deal with all the NIL stuff. I recently went to XFL event, and Bob Stoops basically said the same thing. He's like, I'd rather coach people that want to be here and get better than having to worry about coddling people.
Yeah.
It's a big trade-off. It's changed everything about college football, and there's going to be a lot more of that to come. Guys, what do you say we wrap up? We've been going almost an hour here. First and foremost,
I think we do need to mention the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa with Mississippi State and Illinois, because the Bulldogs are going to be sky high for this one, playing for their late coach Mike Leach. I feel bad for Bet Bielema because he knows what his Illini are going up against, and how does he win? Even if they win the game, they feel like losers anyway, because for what Mississippi State's gone through and how well liked Mike Leach was in the coaching fraternity. I just find it so ironic that they're playing in Tampa at the Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium with the pirate ship in the end zone. I just find that so ironic, and just wish that Mike Leach was there, because they would have pictures with him on the boat.
Shooting the cannons.
Fire the cannons. Yeah.
Wearing the hat, holding the sword, all of those things that you would associate.
They are wearing a pirate flag on their helmets, right?
Yep, they are.
Yeah. That was a great.
And you saw Dana Holgerson at the bowl game at the Independence Bowl wearing a Mississippi State sweatshirt in honor of Coach Leach.
Yep, Missouri had the same thing.
They were extremely close.
Ike on the back of the helmet, and a cowbell instead of an eye on the back of the Missouri helmet too. So the Southeastern Conference is really supporting one of their own.
And then Texas Tech also.
Yep.
Helmet sticker on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Western Kentucky did as well, because some members of that staff came up through Mike Leach. So the outpouring of support for Mississippi State and Mike Leach is just very inspiring.
Yep.
Dude was one of a kind. There's no other way to put it. Some of the quotes from him over the years that we've used in various incarnations here during our podcast are just all-time classics. And
I think the best clip I saw this week when they were asking about his obituary, and he's like, "What the hell do I care?"
Yeah, I'm dead. That's up for you to decide. I love that one. Yeah. What do I care? I'm dead.
I think we all take that. I think we all take the same team on that bowl game.
No doubt.
Yeah, I did read an interesting story a couple of days before he passed away. Apparently, he found himself at a Starkville barbecue restaurant that was struggling, and
I read that
without being prompted or anything like that, offered to help the owner, chipped in some money, and didn't want any publicity or any big to-do being made about it. He just did what he felt was right out of his heart. And that, what better way to sum up what a person's about than that?
No doubt. Absolutely.
Well, there's a story about someone called his office. I think he was at Oklahoma at the time when he was an assistant there. And it was a wrong number, but he ended up talking to the guy for like a half hour or more. I think Lincoln Riley told that story. And they got cut off, and Mike Leach called the guy back and continued the conversation. I mean, that's kind of his personality in a nutshell. And, it's got me to thinking the personalities in college coaching is just going away. I mean, I can think of a number of them in college basketball. In college football, you had obviously Coach Bowden and Woody Hayes and Barry Switzer, guys that were a little different, let's say it that way. And
Yes.
The sport's losing that. And those characters of the game are kind of going away.
Yeah, I think the last of the larger-than-life characters left in the game really would be arguably Nick Saban. Everybody else is kind of a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
Guys, getting depressed here. We shouldn't be depressed. We're getting into the holiday season. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, guys, for joining us throughout the season. We've got one more episode left, the College Football Championship Week preview. That's coming up on New Year's weekend. For OSG Nelson, for OSG Wilkie, and for Brother Marty, I am OSG Phil. We are the Online Sports Guys. Have a wonderful Christmas, everybody, and we will talk to you again in about a week. Until then, enjoy the holidays. Thanks, everybody, and bye-bye.
Please like and subscribe. Merry Festivus.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.